Let's talk about closure and how to get closure when you've come out of a situation and you don't really have answers and you don't have the closure you're looking for to just kind of close it and move on. And I want to explain how you can actually give yourself the closure you need without even talking to the person again. So let me explain first why we need closure. Okay. So let's say something and a relationship ended and you didn't expect either it didn't expect it to end or something happened, fill in the blank of however it looks for you. But what happens is when there's no reason of why it ended, your brain wants to fill in the blank of why it ended, and it'll come up with reasons of something you're already insecure about. Either that or it's just like because the unknown is very, very like the brain doesn't like that. It's like, no, 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 no. We need to figure it out. We need to find some sort of certainty. And what does it do? In order to give yourself that certainty, it will look for reasons. It'll make up reasons in your head to prove like this is what it is, right? So let's say, I'll just give an example, but let's say you're talking to someone and either they ghosted you or you were talking to someone or something, it's just something didn't work. And your brain is making it mean, okay, it's because I said something wrong. I knew it's because I said something wrong. This is why they left, or this is why it didn't work. Um, so when you're thinking that thought, because your brain's trying to give you closure, it doesn't feel good. Like it doesn't feel good to think it's because of something I said. So what do we think the solution is let's go to the person and like find out what the real reason is because we don't want it to God forbid be the reason that I said something wrong. So it will find a way to like to find the solution is by, okay, let me talk to the person and see do they actually agree with my reason or not? Or even I just need a certain reason so that I can pinpoint it so that I can relax and think, okay, like I can forgive myself and move forward. And so ultimately when you say you want closure, you're just looking for how can I make sure either this is not my fault or how can I like get away from this feeling of either guilt or shame or something so that I can close the loop and move on. Because the truth is, like, there are people you don't need closure with because you're not creating stories in your head about how it's your fault. You're just like, okay, you moved on. But sometimes what closure really means is I just need someone to tell me something so I can feel validated and close the loop and move on. Okay, it's not my fault. I can move on now. And so to give yourself closure, all you need to ask is, what if I were to talk to them again, what would be the thing that I want them to say so that I could feel better? Okay. So let's say they say the words, I'm just moving on because um like let's say they say I'm just moving on because I'm not ready for marriage because my mom said something, I don't know, like something that's not related to you in any way. Your brain will give yourself permission to believe, oh, okay, it's not my fault. I can move on. But what you're expecting or hoping, but not really hoping, but I like it's hopes like the person that you're gonna talk to, they're not gonna say, oh, I dumped you because you're not good enough. They're not gonna say that. But subconsciously, you're afraid that is the real truth. And so you're worried, like, hey, like, is this real? But like when you talk to them, it's not gonna give you closure because they're not gonna say that. And sometimes, ultimately, at the end of the day, sometimes you just want to apologize for your behavior or whatever your reason is. You can find a way to uh give yourself that closure, right? Like as in, let's say they left you and you're telling yourself thoughts that don't feel good. You would have to find, okay, what am I telling myself? I'm telling myself that they left me because I'm not attractive enough, I'm not this enough, something enough, whatever. I'm not. And so how can I shift that to believe, okay, even if I was actually like 10 out of 10 perfect in every way, he chose to left me, she chose to left me, to leave me. And because they left me, that means they are not my person. Why? Because if they wanted it to work with me, they would take the time to sit and talk through with it and they would like take the time to understand and work it out. But because they didn't, that is an indicator that they are not my person. And my brain wants to blame me for it. Therefore, what does that mean? Okay, that means I have some work to do on what am I what kind of thoughts do I need to believe in order to feel more at ease again? And so the best way to see is like what thoughts do you want them to perfectly, like if you were to talk to them and they were like they said exactly what you wanted to hear, what would you get to believe after you heard that? You would get to believe, okay, it's not my fault. Oh, okay, it's not. Like I'm good. I can move on. It's not because of this, not because of that. Because typically brains look for ways to identify and or ways to validate what you're currently believing. That's what how it finds comfort. And so because it doesn't have the certainty of like why it ended, it needs to find a reason. And saying it's just because it didn't work out, it's oh well, it doesn't work out. Your brain needs a real reason. And so you have to give it a reason. Even if you have to make it up honestly. Like because even if you don't, the truth is like it's all a story, no matter what it is. Because at the end of the day, no one's gonna tell you the real truth of why someone ended it or why something happened. So you have to go out of your way and think, okay, I'm having some guilt about the way I acted in the relationship. I'm having some things about the way I said or the way I did. And kind of you have to forgive yourself for all of those moments because if you're trying to look for it from the other person, it's gonna feel like I need the closure. I need them to tell me so I can feel like I'm forgiven and moved on. Now, kind of a last thought on this. Now, if you're someone who, let's say, did someone else wrong or did something that and you feel really guilty about, and you need to kind of close the loop to make sure you've done your part. So, so we're all just trying to go to heaven. We're not trying to get questioned on the day of judgment. So if you did something wrong and you really want to ask for forgiveness, what you do on your part is you say what you need to say, either through message or whatever, and you've done your part and you're like admit your mistake. And if they don't reciprocate or they don't forgive you, that's not your business. You've done your part. And some people say, well, no, like what if they really don't forgive? It's like this is part of it, right? Like you have to kind of trust that you're doing your part. You've done the work to try to forgive yourself, forgive everything, and like ask for forgiveness and ask Allah for forgiveness, and then you do your part and you let it go. If they forgive you, don't forgive you, that's on them. And we also um depend on Allah's mercy to also let us go from any punishment, inshallah. May Allah protect us. But yeah, so hopefully that explains what closure really means. We don't ever actually need closure. We just need to learn how to give ourselves the beliefs and validation that we need so that we can relax and move forward. All right, inshallah this helped. I'll see you in the next video. Assalamu alaikum.